Hello everybody, I'm about to do a quick demo video on portrait drawing. Hopefully you recognize this character. What I want to do is first kind of show you how the facial proportions actually work, and then show you how to set them up in a drawing. I did this drawing using a mirror. But I used this same technique for breaking down the face into different proportions to draw a more accurate self-portrait. So if you look at the human head, my human head, you can see that it's more of an egg shape. A lot of people, when they begin drawing, they either draw very circular heads or very oval shape heads. It's actually a combination of the two. It's round on the top and a U shape underneath, and the U shape can be different depending on who it is you're drawing. In this case, with my beardy face, you can see that it has a very long and kind of flat bottomed U, but everybody's a little bit different. If you look and you compare, like we've done before when we've done still lives and done sighting, where you use you know, go, okay, this compare this size to this size, comparing objects within one shape or one still life, you're going to see size comparisons. And here are some of the big ones. When you're looking at the human head, you want to think about it as a head and not just the face. Some people, when they're drawing the face, they just think about the forehead, but the top of your head where there's hair, or in my case where there's not as much hair, the tippy top of the head is the actual top of the head. So if you compare the top of the head to the eyes, it should be just about the same as from your eyes to your chin. So your eyes are actually at the halfway point on your head. Another size comparison to get the nose, and these are not 100% of the time. Sometimes people's faces are a little bit different. So when you're doing your own self-portrait, you want to look at your face, do the sighting, compare how big your eye is to how wide your nose is, or how wide your mouth, or all these. Make these comparisons for yourself, but these proportions that I'm telling you about right now are generally, you're going to see them in most faces. So if I compare the distance between the eyes and the bottom of the nose with the nose and the bottom of the chin, although I have a pretty thick luscious beard, so it adds a little bit, so it's about halfway, or in my case it was just a little bit above halfway. Then this is going to be a little bit harder to do. Maybe I'll have to do it with a pencil. If you look at the bottom of the nose to the chin, the mouth can be any kind of where between a third, like this is about a third if you look, between the bottom of the nose and the chin, or it can be lower. Sometimes that space between the nose and the mouth is a bit big. I'll go over these and kind of write them out as I do the demo, but just know that can vary a lot from person to person, and depending on the angle you're looking at them. If you want to figure out how wide the nose is, almost always the inside corner of the eyes down is the side of the nose. Inside corner of the eyes, side of the nose. Then the center of the eyes down, if you drew that line, that's how wide the mouth is. And I'm going to go through all these in a quick sketch to show you how these facial proportions break down, but straight line down. It all depends on the angle that somebody's looking at you, where the top of the top of the ears and the bottom of the ears are. Typically the top of the ears are right around the eye level line, and the bottom of the ears are usually lined up with the bottom of the nose. That's a good general rule, but when you're drawing, make sure you're looking at that. Then a lot of the other stuff, like how far the eyebrow is up off of the eye, the shape of the eye, how broad the nose is, all of these things vary a lot from person to person. So, now you guys are going to be at varying places around the world, and you're going to have different materials available to you. I just got one of our handy dandy pieces of Bristol board. You might not have that where you are. You might be in quarantine and all you can get is some printer paper. That will work for this. Also, you might not have our nice drawing pencils. I'm using a 4B right now. You can use like this. This is my daughter's jumbo pencil for like my first try right. There's any pencil. You just want to try to get one that's not really hard. So just look for like a 2B, or if you can get your hands on another drawing pencil, that'd be great. So, as I said, the human head is round on top. Make sure that's centered. Okay, there we go. Round on top with a U shape underneath. Now I'm drawing really small, so I make sure I stay on the camera. When you're drawing, you want to make sure you're filling the page completely. So, circle on top. Think about the top of your head, where your brain is. That's kind of round. And then this U shape underneath is your jaw. So, that's the basic shape. Everybody's face is going to be a little bit different, as I said. So, look at the shape. And none of these lines are set in stone. These are all guidelines to get everything set up, so then you can draw in your facial features in the right spot. So then what you want to do, because if you look at a human face, it's pretty darn symmetrical. So you want to draw a line down the center so that you can make sure that there's equal space on either side of the line. If you're looking into a mirror, make sure that you're looking yourself straight on. If you're looking slightly to the side, this line that kind of goes down, this would be going down between your eyes and down the center of your nose and through the center of your mouth. If you're looking slightly to the left or the right, that line would be left to the left or the right. If you want to challenge yourself, you can do that, but I would suggest looking straight on into the mirror. Or, and I apologize for saying this now, if you don't have a mirror, maybe the only mirror is in the hotel bathroom, and you don't want to sit in the bathroom because there's nowhere to comfortably sit, take your cell phone out, put it on selfie mode, and either snap a picture, or if you have a good battery life, have it right there focused on you so you can really look at those details. So, halfway down the center, nice vertical line. The next line is going to be a horizontal line. This is that eye level line, which if you remember when I was showing you my self-portrait, was halfway between the top and the bottom. And always go back and make a little, sighting and make sure that you're comparing those sizes. Then the next one I said was the nose. And you kind of want to work in this order because it's just, you kind of establish these lines and then you can compare these lines to the other lines to the other lines. If you jump in and just started drawing an eye, then your proportions can get all kind of wacky. You want to do this so you establish a good solid base. So halfway between the eye level line and the chin, roughly, everybody's nose is a little bit different, is the bottom of the nose. And I just put a little line, as this isn't like going to be part of the drawing, just showing me where that nose is going to be. And then I'm going to go between the nose and the chin, I'm going to go right about here. So it's about a third. If you broke that down, it'd be a third. But I'm going to take my daughter's jumbo pencil that has my eraser and erase that. Now you want to look at how the eyes. If you look at a human face, your eyes on a human face, you can fit about 5 eyes across a human face. And you have 2 eyes, so now you know that there's going to be an odd number, so there's going to be 1 eye width in the middle. So you kind of compare that size and you can always go back and adjust this, and sometimes people's eyes are a little bit smaller, but notice how I kind of lined that up, and it kind of lined up with that white mark. So I kind of did it there. I take that over here. This amount of space on beside the eyes varies a lot from person to person, so no, not set in stone, just a rough guideline. Now we need to figure out how wide the nose is going to be, so we just kind of draw that line straight down, so we know the nose is going to be right in there. That's all the wider it's going to be. And then the mouth, and some people's mouths are smaller, some are bigger, but we're just going to go off this. This is just getting our rough estimates down. So if this is how wide the eye is, halfway, straight down, halfway between those two, straight down, oop, a little bit crooked, and that will be how wide your mouth is. There's not a whole lot of space here and here, so I might have to adjust depending on who I'm drawing. I'm going to do another video about how to draw different facial features. So right now I'm just going to do a quick sketch just so you can kind of see how these facial features will fill in. Notice that when I'm sketching this out, I really only ever draw the top eyelid. That's because the bottom eyelid gets highlight and it's all kind of defined by shading. And we've talked about that many times. Let your shading define edges, so I don't bother to put those in. And I'm kind of doing a generic eye that's probably based on my own eye. I have eyelids, so I put a little eyelid above. Eyelid. Eyebrows are totally different from person to person, so you really have to look at your eyes. So I'm just doing a really generic eyebrow, just so you can see how these facial proportions come together. I'm going to talk about how to draw noses and eyes and mouths in another video, so I'm just going to do this really quick. The nose can be made up of 3 balls, 1 round, 2 kind of elliptical or oval, and then I just kind of emphasize the outside, emphasize the nasal flare, and then none of these lines are going to be set in stone, so I'm going to erase the top part of that, and you can kind of see how a nose emerges. And then I'm going to create my lip. This is this little dip in your nose, or the space between your nose and your lip, is called philtrum, and it a lot of times creates a little V shape, but don't make it too angular. Not many people's faces are that angular. And then we have that little bit of a beak. And then don't draw the bottom lip, because unless they're wearing lipstick, that's really not defined. What defines the bottom lip is the shadow underneath it. And then it kind of goes into the chin. And then you can start to look at whoever you're drawing and start to define their jawline. A lot of times there's a little bit of a dip right there from your temple, your cheekbone. The ears, so you go eye level, nose level, and you don't want them to stick out too much. Some people's ears stick out a little bit, and that's okay. But what we're doing is we're trying to draw it like you'd see it kind of on the side, where you're just seeing a little bit. And I made that a little bit low, so I go back. Nothing set in stone. In fact, you might not even see their ears if it's a person with long hair. Speaking of hair, start to look at where the hair goes. I'm just going to pretend that this person has hair, unlike me. I'm going to pretend that they part it on the side. Now, I wouldn't go this dark that quick. I just want to show you guys the proportions and how they play out. When you're doing hair, you're going to want to use the side of the pencil more and get more shading involved, but I'm just doing this quick. Your drawings, your final drawings, are going to be more like the one that I drew, where it's fully shaded. And then you need to really kind of look at where their neck is. Some people's necks are wider, but I'm just going to kind of gently slope this in, and you can figure out what their shirt looks like and add a collar or whatever. If we were getting into shading, the top lip would get a little bit of shade, but not the bottom lip because it's getting highlight. Throw some pupils, but leave a little bit of a highlight, some irises. Talk about this more in another video, but dark around the edges, dark around the edges. And there you've got a generic self-portrait. Now, what you would do is you would build this up a lot slower. You'd make sure that all the proportions are correct, the facial features look more like the person that you're drawing, so that when you're done, you can add all the texture and the shading, and you'll get something more like this, where you can see the shading around the eyes, underneath the eyebrow, along the ridge of the nose. Notice there aren't, a lot of people draw these lines that come down, boom, through here, and they create like this little J shape. That's all shading. There's no line. This kind of gets to be a little bit of a line, but it's just kind of a shadow. You'll take time to look at the direction of hair and facial hair, the direction of the hair here, what little wisps of hair I have up there. And then we don't have to worry too much about the shirt and stuff because we're really focusing here. And then you might even want to put some value behind your portrait, especially if you have light colored hair, to make your light hair stand out. So if you need to make the background dark so that you get a lighter looking hair. It's that simultaneous contrast of hues that we've talked about, and putting lights beside darks, like Gail Price would say. So I hope this helped you get started, and I will be back with more videos on facial features and more reminders throughout the week. Have a good day.